Well, it's the best time of the year, NCAA tournament time. And we're just proud to represent San Diego State in the world's greatest sporting event. So we will get to the practice floor here shortly, start our prep for a very good Creighton team, and looking forward to playing again Thursday, 6:30 Texas time, 4:30 San Diego time in the NCAA tournament.
Thank you, Coach. Who wants to get us started? Go ahead, John.
Dutch, congratulations again. When you watch Creighton on film, because I know you obviously not watching a lot of these teams and you're not playing over the course of the season, what sticks out to you when you watch them?
Just their ability to overcome the loss of their starting point guard so late in the season and still be able to play at the high level they do. I mean, Hawkins and O'Connell are great three-point shooters. Kalkbrenner is a presence in the low post, much like Nate is. He's an elite shot blocker. And then Kaluma, Adam's brother, extremely talented freshman. Alexander, extremely talented player. So Coach McDermott always has good teams, and this is another one of them.
Do they look a little bit, kind of like your basketball team? As you look at some of the defensive metrics, and they're a top 20 defensive team this year, and of course you guys have routinely been in that spot.
Yeah, they're extremely well coached. They guard at a high level. And when they make a mistake, they have a shot blocker sitting behind to erase all those mistakes. And so they play hard at the defensive end. If they make a mistake, their ability to protect the rim is there. And so it'll be a great challenge to obviously manufacture points against them.
And then just lastly for you, what's your schedule look like this week for your team?
We will go normal practice today. Still waiting to hear from the NCAA as to what time we'll be able to charter out tomorrow. So probably a morning practice and then catch a charter to Fort Worth and start prepping at the game location.
Thanks, Dutch.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Troy Hirsch.
Hey, Coach, congrats on a tournament berth. I know you don't do much with the football team, but the football team was just there and has been there a couple of times. Is there sort of a strong tie now between Fort Worth and the Texas area and the Aztecs, it seems?
Well, we have obviously TCU was in the conference at one time, so we would make an annual trip to play there. And obviously they've moved on to the Big 12, and so it'll be good to get back to Fort Worth. We have a lot of alumni there that are excited that we're coming, and hopefully we will have a big presence fan-wise at Dickey Arena for the game.
You mentioned Kaluma and Adam's brother, obviously, and I don't think they play same positions and probably can't see that, but can you see an opportunity or a time in that game where they might be matched up against each other and what that might be like?
Well, the way we switch screens, there's a chance that Adam could be on his brother. So, be like a family reunion on the court. So I'm excited to see it. So hopefully they'll get a chance to both play well, but Adam a little bit better to help us Aztecs get a victory.
Coach, you've got a lot of players who played in the tournament before. Creighton's got a lot of young players. How big is experience when you get in the NCAA tournament?
It's important, obviously, to know what the routine is, the press conferences, the open practices, and hopefully we can rely on some of that experience. But with that being said, you have to be playing your best basketball, and Creighton's playing really good basketball. Obviously, both of us lost in our conference championship games. They lost a close game to Villanova. We lost a close game to Boise. And so we're both overcoming the sting of those losses, putting them in the rearview mirror, and getting ready to play each other in a great event.
And finally, Coach, the offensive troubles, at least on the stat sheet and maybe on the scoreboard, that your team had in the Mountain West Conference tournament, do you think that's more due to the fact that you're playing teams that know you so well, or that there's maybe some offensive struggles that your team's going to carry into the tournament?
Obviously it's teams we're playing that have played us 3 times, so they know what we're doing. Obviously, Creighton will watch those games. They'll come up with a game plan they think's effective against us. And at some level, you have to make shots. Lamont Butler had a career high. So obviously he's feeling good about himself. Trey Pulliam had a great tournament. Matt Bradley obviously gets all the attention from the defenses. He's facing double teams and defenses tilted toward him. So every game is different. Every game is a challenge. But I thought, for the most part, we played pretty well offensively in the conference tournament.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. We'll go to Bryce Miller.
Been a little bit in recent years. I mean, the 30-2 team doesn't get a chance to play because of the pandemic. Was it 16? I think you guys are like 28-10, 16-2 in the Mountain West, and don't get selected. And last year, just a very quirky matchup with Syracuse. Buddy Boeheim has a career day. How important is every team wants to win NCAA tournament games? That goes without saying. How important is it that this program, gets a win in that tournament, a little bit of traction because of how those recent years have gone?
I mean, not only this team, the Mountain West Conference, we have to win games. And so, I mean, this is my third trip. Obviously, the 30-2 team didn't get a go. That would have been the highest seeded team we've had in a long time. But we lose to Houston. Trey's got a shot from the top of the key to win the game. It doesn't go in. Syracuse obviously rolled over us last year, and I thought at the time it was a great draw. Nobody zoned us last year. We have elite shooters. Terrell Gomez, Jordan Shackle, as good as shooters there are in the country. And I thought it was a great matchup, and it turned out not to be. So every year is different. Every team is different. Our intention is to win games in the NCAA tournament. And our ultimate goal is to make a Final Four. So is this the team that can do it? We will find out on Friday.
Is there anything you kind of pick up either in that Houston game or the Syracuse game that helps you approach things a little differently in the first round this year, or are those all one-offs and it's all fresh every single year and you can't really take lessons from one tournament to the other?
The only lesson learned is you have to go out there and believe you're good, play with incredible swagger, play with great confidence. No scared team is going to win games in the NCAA tournament. So take your shot. If you miss it, so be it. But play your game, play aggressively, play with great confidence, and don't play timid.
All right, thank you, Bryce. We'll go to Austin.
Hey, Coach. You hit on it a little bit earlier, but can you just expand on the guard play and how important Trey and Lamont were last weekend?
They played fantastic basketball. I mean, Trey was probably heading to the tournament MVP had we won the championship game. Lamont had a career high in the championship game, 3 for 3 from 3. So they both played really good basketball. Obviously, not only in the conference tournament, but down the stretch. So we're encouraged by the way we're playing offensively. We're dangerous. We're hard to guard when we're playing at that level. So points are hard to come by sometimes. It's tough to win a college basketball game. But if you're going to do it, someone has to step up and make plays and make shots. I know that much. And so hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 guys that are playing with tremendous rhythm in the NCAA tournament, and we make enough shots to advance.
And then Saturday was pretty heartbreaking, that loss for the team. Now that it's been 2 days, what's the overall emotions among the team?
That game is so far in the rearview mirror right now. I haven't watched the tape. I haven't thought about it since it was over. This is the best time of the year. This is the reason you play games all year is to play in this thing, is to build a resume. And so whether you win a conference tournament and do it, you can hang a banner and celebrate, or whether you play yourself into an at-large bid, this is what it's all about, to play in the big dance. And this is the thing that football doesn't have. You know, they lock out the non-Power 5 schools. And so for us to get in there, to be on equal footing with everybody else, no matter what the seed is, we have a chance, like anybody else, to win games.
And then final one for me, what are your thoughts on Colorado State getting a 6 seed and Boise getting an 8?
Like I said, I'd like one time in my life to sit in that room and to hear what goes on. So, I mean, the only justification would be Colorado State beat Boise twice. And so as important as the conference championship is, and Boise obviously deserving of a higher seed, in my opinion, but they looked at the metrics. Colorado State beat them twice in the regular season, and maybe that's the reason why.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Austin. We'll go to Todd Strain.
Hey, Brian, can you speak to the similarities between the two programs? I mean, you're not Power 5 teams, but you guys have both had sustained success for years. You placed players in the NBA. You've been top 20 teams. Can you speak to the similarities between the programs? I know they score a lot of points and you guys are built on defense, but program-wise, they're very similar to you guys, I think. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not in Power 5 conferences, but we're Power 5 schools. I think anybody that would talk about Creighton would say they're a Power 5 school. And it's fan bases. I mean, they have tremendous support in Omaha. People attend games. Their conference is really good, the Big East. And you would say the same thing of San Diego State. We have great fan support. We have a great culture, and we play in a great conference. We have 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. The Pac-12 has 3. So this conference is deserving of that. And now both of us have to go out and try to find a way to play against each other and see which one can get a victory.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Todd. We'll go to Mark Ziegler.
When you look at Creighton Dutch, they don't shoot it great from the three-point line, but they have in some games. How do you balance that when you put together a game plan? When you see a team that doesn't have a good percentage but does have the capability of stepping up and making a lot of them in certain games?
Well, we have to look at what their conference is doing against them. They know O'Connell and Hawkins can shoot, so they're not trying to give them open shots. So the teams they play against know what their strengths are. So it's up to us now to say this is what they're good at. And even though they haven't put numbers on some of their conference teams, they're capable of doing it against us. If we lose O'Connell or Hawkins, they're going to make open threes.
And in terms of, you spoke a little bit earlier about the experience of being in the NCAA tournament. They have a lot of guys who've never been there. I guess that can go kind of 2 ways. One is that, it's just a brand new experience and a little bit overwhelming. The other is they seem to have been playing just really loose and free. Have you seen that sometimes in teams that are really young at the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to let it all hang out right now, Mark. You can't go there and be scared to take a shot. And you have to play aggressively. 2 years ago, or the first year I went to the tournament against Houston, I thought we were really timid. And I told him at halftime of that game, I don't recognize this team. You have to be more confident. You have to play like you know you're good. And then Syracuse, we weren't making shots. I mean, to open the game, Gomez, Shackle, we had open looks. And if you want to advance, you have to make those. And so you have to be loose. You can't be timid. You can't be afraid. You can't say, I have to play different than I played all year. You have to play the best version of yourself. And that's what I hope we do. I hope we go out there and play with tremendous confidence and tremendous aggressiveness. And I'm sure that's what Creighton will do.
And one more thing about the Mountain West, now that you've seen the seedings and you've seen the matchups, and you talked about how important it is for this conference to win a couple games in this tournament, kind of justify its presence. What do you think about the matchups of the other teams?
You talk about the matchups in the conferences. I mean, last year, I think many people would agree that the Big Ten had a disastrous tournament last year, yet they get 9 teams in this year. So every year is different. Yeah, we want to win every year, but one year doesn't lead to extra bids the following year. The Pac-12, UCLA was in a play-in game and made it to the Final Four. And so one year doesn't affect another, although we want to win games. It's always easier to win games the higher seeded you are. So on paper, you would hope Colorado State has the best chance to win a game. The 8-9 games are toss-up games. So both Boise and us are going to have extreme challenges to win that game. And if we do, we're going to see the number 1 seeds. Wyoming is going to have a challenge against Indiana in the play-in game. So a lot of even matchups, and the highest seed, Colorado State versus Michigan, I think you would say that's probably going to be a coin flip. So you got to play good basketball. Hopefully our conference will do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. We'll go to Lee.
Hey, Brian, I got an intangible question about officiating. I mean, your calling card is defense. And there was no place for the timid in that game against Boise State. I mean, there was a lot of banging and they let a lot of stuff go. But when Mountain West officials know who you are, how you play, maybe there's some leeway for your style. But if you get officiating crews in the ACC or the Big East or something, do you have to worry about whether they're going to let you be who you are, banging hands and bodies? And what's coach's reaction to that?
You just have to adjust to how they're calling it, Lee. I mean, we'll know within the first 5 minutes how they're calling the game. And so if they're letting a lot of stuff go, then we'll play more physical. If they're calling every little touch in contact, then we'll have to adjust to that. And so you never know what it's going to be until you get there. Obviously, I'll talk to the refs as the game goes on, but it all depends on the crew you get, Lee. Everybody calls it differently, and we'll have to adjust to whatever crew we have.
23 wins is pretty impressive considering how tough it has been for you to score on a consistent basis. Is there part of you that's disappointed that you've not been able to polish the offense that's much more trustworthy? Because 38% shooting is not great.
Yeah, I just think the conference has been a battle this year, Lee, and hopefully the benefit is we're going to be battle tested. I mean, the conference 1 through 8 or 9 was incredible. And one possession games, I think there's only one game since we started the conference where we weren't in it to the final possession, and that was at Utah State. So we lost 3 one-possession games to Boise. We lost a one-possession game to Colorado State. And the teams that Boise won the league because they won all those games. And so it's been a challenge every night. If you're playing anyone in this conference, it's a challenge. And so hopefully all these challenges will benefit all of us come tournament time.
And final question, everybody healthy on this roster? Is AG going to be able to handle the minutes?
Yeah, I think AG and Keyshawn was the one that was banged up. His ankle was really bothering him in that final game, and we didn't play him the minutes we normally played him. He got beat down with a bad ankle having to play 3 games. So I think we'll be all hands on deck, but we will be very careful with AG and Keyshawn over the next 3 days to make sure we have them as healthy as we can when we tip it off. So I would say practice-wise, they're going to be limited, but we will have them available for the game.